Good morning. It's Friday, 2nd of May, and welcome to Saba's Way of Life. Today I want to show you my spice cupboard and to give you an idea of how I organise it for those of you who use herbs and spices, even for those of you who don't and want to. Bearing in mind I'm from an Indian background, and albeit I cook everything, a lot of what I cook are curries, and home cooked, beautiful, healthy curries, because they are full of food as medicine, because proper food is medicine, herbs and spices that all play a very, very important part in the food and in our body and within our cells. And also they work synergistically together to optimize whatever healing or whatever nutrition needs to take place in the body. Okay, so let me turn this around. Right, so first thing I want to show you, however you organise yours, it's your choice. I've got these drawers. This is actually from IKEA. I don't know whether they do this anymore, but it's great because, you know, you open it up and you've got this drawer down here, and then you've got another one underneath. It's right next to the cooker, so it's practical and handy. And as you can see, I've just got different jars and I've labelled them. So let me just go through. I've got coriander here. Coriander is used in most curries, and this is freshly ground coriander, which, you know, I buy the coriander seeds and then I grind them. And on the note of grinding, you can do them by hand. If you're doing a small amount, you can use a pestle and mortar like I've got here, or you can use like a blender attachment. So this is a very old Kenwood blender, and you just take this top bit off and then you attach, I'm only using one hand because I've got the phone in the other, and then you attach this to it, and this is for dry spices or whatever you want, but I use it for dry spices. And it's a quick and easy way to grind your spices and then store them. I never store too much because it's always nice to have them fresh, and when they're fresh, they're potent and they're going to have the best effect in your body. Buying dead ground spices from the supermarket, I know if you don't have an option, but then again, you know, you're fooling yourself, because really it doesn't have the potency and it doesn't have the effect that you want, or even the taste inside the body. Okay, let's go back. So get a pen and paper and write these down, because it'll then give you a very good idea and explain to you how to think in terms of when you're cooking curries, what you need for what curry. All of this will start making sense as a whole a bit later on as you carry on watching, and you learn from other channels as well. Mine is more of a teaching and educational channel, and the real crux of it is to teach you how to think for yourself. So let's then you've got haldi. Haldi is turmeric. It's just the Urdu Hindi word. So this is turmeric in here. And this I did buy. I have actually made my own turmeric powder before. It's hard work and you need a very hot summer. I'll come back to that another time. But I don't go to the Indian shop and buy this. I went to an organic store where I really observed the turmeric and I smelt it when I brought it home, and it is as fresh as I could get. Otherwise, you can buy dry turmeric root and then you soak it, because it's very hard to grind, and then you soak it, cut it up into pieces, let it dry out to a degree, and then grind it. And once you've ground it, you leave it out in the sun to dehydrate and dry off. I don't use a dehydrator. I let it dry off in the sun because it's the sun's energy that actually powers it up. That's the thing. You're eating a lot of sun in here if these are actually produced properly, which they're not, but I do my best. So let me go back. Then you've got cumin. Now this is cumin powder again. I dried, I bought the whole cumin, which you'll see in a minute, and then on top of this hot plate I roasted the whole cumin just gently. I tempered it, and then I did the old grinding process in the grinder, and it smells beautiful. And I use this in curries. This is crushed chili from a supermarket, and again it's not completely ground, but it works well in certain curries. And then I've got cardamom here, cardamom seeds. I can talk about the cardamom properties another time. They're, oh gosh, it'll take too long to do that now. You can look it up, but cardamom has very special properties, and it's also great to actually suppress appetite, so it suppresses cravings, and you can use it both in sweet dishes and in savoury. This is garam masala. Garam masala is simply a term that we use for a mixture of different whole, like black pepper, cloves, cinnamon, cardamom, and different star anise sometimes, and these are all ground to create a really delicious kind of powder which is used in certain dishes, not all. These are whole cloves. This is ginger powder. Again, I went to an organic store to buy a quality ginger powder. I don't like the cheap ones from the Indian store. I don't know what they mix in them, but they don't even smell of ginger to me. And you'll understand that once you've smelt real ginger powder. You can make your own. If you live in a hot country, you're lucky. Here is cinnamon. This is a Sri Lankan cinnamon. Different types of cinnamon. I can talk about that another time, or you can do your research. This is the whole coriander. I showed you the ground coriander. This is whole coriander. This is what the seeds look like. And if you plant these out, they actually grow into those beautiful coriander leaves. This is cumin, whole cumin. I showed you the ground cumin before. And this is chili powder. And again, I did buy this, but I bought it from an organic store, again, to get as quality as possible. It's very hard to make your own chili powder. You can use chili paste, which we use quite a lot by buying whole dried chilies and pasting them. But powder is useful sometimes as well. Whole black pepper. This works very well with turmeric. Turmeric and black pepper work synergistically together to provide a very powerful anti-inflammatory food medicine. Fennel. This is fennel seeds. They look similar to cumin seeds, but they're not. And this is great for wind and bloating, as is cumin for that matter. I use this quite a lot in tea, drinks, and also when I'm making a pilau. This is fennel again, but I've ground it. It's in a ginger bottle, but it's not ginger. It's fennel, and I've used it ground here, which is useful in some dishes. This is cardamom again, but it's a black cardamom that is called for in certain dishes, and it's got to use it in garam masala as well, that I explained earlier. Nutmeg. Oh, beautiful nutmeg. We use nutmeg and mace in certain dishes, and nutmeg has some incredible qualities if you look them up. Aphrodisiac qualities, I've been told. Not tried it myself. Fennel. Oh, done fennel. This is mustard powder. Now, I bought the yellow mustard seeds. Mustard, there are all different types of mustard. This is yellow without the skin on, and I ground it. And I use this a lot when I'm barbecuing kebabs or barbecuing chicken. This gives it a really nice tangy flavour. That's the mace. Nutmeg and mace are from the same plant. This is ground mace. I had the mace, whole mace, and I ground it. You can always see that, you know, there's only a small amount because I don't use it that often. Here is thyme. This is my garden thyme that I saved, I think it was a couple of years ago. Bay leaves. Again, I've got my own bay leaf tree. Well, my mother's got one in the garden. I've got a small one. But every year we take all the leaves off her tree, let them dry off in the sun, and then store them upside down. And now they're in this jar. Beautiful flavour. Okay, and then over here at the back, I've got various different things. I've got other herbs, like just normal herbs, bits and pieces. And then down here, I've got the whole. This is the actual bags, because I buy the big bags because I use it all the time. You don't need to. You can buy a much smaller one. Whole coriander, whole cumin, and then other things that I don't use as often. That's the chili I explained to you that I grind. So it's whole dried chili, Kashmiri chili, all different types of chili. There's another one here which are much hotter. These little round ones, peppers. And then the more obscure herbs that we don't use every single day, but nonetheless I use quite a lot. These are poppy seeds. And I've got onion seeds here, galonji, which are very useful. I can talk about all of these another time. No, I don't know what these are. I think these are mustard seeds, but a different type, not the yellow ones, the ones with the skin on. And there are so many other. I've got fenugreek. This is fenugreek seeds. I use that in fish. And so many other. And that's what I do. I keep everything here. I've got a mango powder here, which I use sometimes to create a sour flavour to dishes. So many different things. So start off with a few of them, and if you've got them in the house, then you'll start using them, but make sure you do use them. Otherwise they do go rancid, old, and they don't have the benefit of the whole point of it, which is the nutritional integrity and the flavour in the dish. So that's a little bit about spices, and that's how I store and organise mine. And what I always do, if I see that the cumin is running out, the powder, I don't wait before I'm cooking. If I'm listening to a podcast or something, I will grind it then, prepare, and so that I've always got what I need. I'm always thinking ahead. What can I do now? Okay, I've got a few minutes spare. I'm tired of sitting and reading. I'm going to come down and grind some spices. It's constantly, I'm on the move. I'm constantly thinking and getting things done. And there's a time for silence. There's a time for getting things done. And even this is not an effort. It's just how your mind starts to work. Homemakers, ladies, you do not know how powerful you become when you are a full-time homemaker and a mother. You know, there's a reason that we are women and we're able to juggle so many things around. And I don't mean being a martyr where you're doing 100 things and you're getting stressed out. I mean, you have the ability to, as a mother, you've got children that are crying. You have the ability to switch from one thing to the next with ease and flow, and you get used to doing it. And this is all learned. We have forgotten what we are capable of doing and running a home. Men are very different to us. They have different abilities. Again, we can talk about that another time. So use the nature's abilities that you've been given. We are not designed to go out and sit in an office or even compare ourselves to men in their working place, because we are not men, we are women. So use our female skills, which are very powerful and very useful and very needed by in the family unit. And this is what you should be teaching your children and your little boys as well. When they're young, you nurture them in a way that they understand love and they understand compassion. All the things I didn't do because I didn't know any of that, because my parents came here as immigrants and they left a country that was torn apart by evil colonialism, thanks to the British, and brought over here to rebuild their country. And they've got these jobs, and yes, there's no doubt we were educated, but we were educated at the expense of their country being torn apart, families being torn apart, and them living what I would class today as slavery, which they wouldn't. I've had many arguments with my family about this. Nope, we were slaves back in India and back in Pakistan, but that's because they were born after colonialism and after the British Empire had just destroyed their lands. They don't even know what they were like beforehand. So of course this seemed better. This is real history. Study your history. So I'm changing the subject as always, but I will speak truth. And it's really important our generation teach our children the truth, not the shite that we are taught in schools, what they want to brainwash us into believing. You know, William the Conqueror. Who cares about William the Conqueror? What benefit is that going to have in my life? Let's learn what empires are really about. Let's learn what imperialism is really about. Do you know what that is? I won't use the Z word that's going around at the moment, but that Z word that's happening all over the certain countries is actually not. It was actually racism in the service of imperialism. It's a great book I'm reading at the moment called Imperium. And yeah, I mean, I'm switching subjects again, but this is what happens when you start educating yourself outside of mainstream bullshit. Have a lovely day. Go and get your spices.